Chapter 11 is all about using presentation aids with your speeches. And so the first part of the chapter is talking about why using presentations is good for when you give a speech. So the first reason they're good is to grab attention and maintain interest. So I think they're good for grabbing attention just because, it gives the audience something to look at. But maintaining interest throughout your speech is why I think they're really important. I think we've all been there when we're listening to a speech, even if we're interested in it, or even when we're not, you tend to kind of zone out. You want something to look at. You get kind of tired of looking at the presenter, so you just kind of start zoning out. But if you have a good presentation aid behind you, then the people watching are going to tend to, quote-unquote, zone out on your presentation aid. It gives them something just to pay attention to while you're speaking. And it kind of takes a little bit of energy away from them. They don't need to put in so much energy to focus on your speech. They can just kind of look at your aid. So I think that's good with really maintaining interest. The next thing it talks about is assisting with retention. So a big thing you want your audience to do is retain your information. So I think everyone, no matter what, is some form of a visual learner. So maybe that's not your best way to learn. Maybe you're not your visual learning aspect of your mind isn't the most important one to you. Maybe you're a better reader, maybe you're better at listening. But at some point along the way, your brain does want some form of visual aid. And if there's a visual aid that your brain can kind of subconsciously connotate with a point in the speech that the presenter is making, it kind of helps retain it a little bit instead of having them like, okay, when did he talk about this? What did he say about it? You're kind of thinking, oh yeah, he talked about this one. This image was on the board, or oh, and this chart was on the board. And the next thing it talks about is it helps you cross a cultural divide. So we talked about it in my last video or a couple videos ago about how you have to you have to use different dialect and different vernacular talking to different cultures. But maybe you have an audience that's really diverse culturally, and you can't choose one specific vernacular that's going to go to all of them. So having a visual aid is really going to help kind of bring that all together. So maybe you can't talk with the right vernacular to everyone, but your visual presentation is going to be one that's going to be kind of cross-cultural. It's going to help everyone understand what you're saying. And then it helps you maintain your extemporaneous delivery. And this is because if you're able to talk off your presentation aids and you're able to go off of what you're saying based on what's on the board or on the projector or whatever you're using, it kind of shows your audience, yeah, this guy really does know what he's talking about. He's not just memorizing this all from a script. He's going off of what he has on the board. So that helps a lot too. Then it talks about just stuff you can use. You can use actual items. I know Sarah in our class brought in actual makeup, which I thought was pretty cool. You can use models if you're kind of doing something very scientific. Pictures and drawings are always good. I love pictures. Just even if you don't have, like, if you're not giving a big speech with a lot of data or a lot of facts, you're just giving a speech about something. Pictures really help, like I said, with just retaining that information for the audience. It gives them something to look at and gives them something to connotate with or correlate, with what you're saying. And then graphs and charts are also really good. I think the big thing with graphs and charts is everyone knows with presentation aids, you don't want too much information on it. You don't want them just to be reading up there and not listening to you. So let's say you're trying to show maybe a large majority of something. So you just have one pie chart where the majority of the pie chart is showing that this one, maybe demographic, is a lot more involved in this demographic. Or if you have a bar graph to show like how it's very spread out and very even, a good bar graph can do that. A line graph can show change over time. So if you want to show big change in maybe a stock, for example, that's a common one, you'll see that. The big thing is you just don't want too much information on it to whereas it's distracting the audience from what you're saying.